Hello my loves, I'm Ellie Frost. Thank you so much for being on my channel where we are talking about the multi-dimensional approach to rapidly and radically healing and transforming during and after narcissistic abuse. And this video is about when the narcissist turns your children against you. This is one of the most devastating things that can happen, and it happens fairly often actually, right? So let's talk about it. It's a really tricky dynamic, right? Because if the narcissist has turned your children against you, the children... So the reason I'm making this video is because a comment on the channel came and it said, could you talk about reconnecting with children, adult children, after years of no contact? Yeah, so I'm making the assumption that the narcissist has turned the children against you. Yeah? If you've seen the videos I made on the flying monkeys and enablers, right? The reason people are manipulated and don't see past the illusion of the narcissist is because they're under the spell themselves, right? So if the narcissist has turned your children against you, then the chances are the children are under the spell. They're under the illusion and they believe what the narcissist has said about you. They believe that probably you're the one that's the narcissist a lot of the time, because I've seen that a lot with my clients where the children believe that the victim of the abuse was actually the abusive one. And the narcissist has control over what they think and feel about you, right? Which is devastating. It's absolutely devastating. This is one of, again, the most unjust, devastating things that people can go through. So the challenge is they're under the spell of the narcissist, and the child will not probably, if they are under that spell, want to face who their parent is. Even for myself, being the victim of narcissistic abuse from my father, I didn't want to face who he was. I couldn't accept that he was abusive for a long, long time. Despite therapy, I wouldn't hear anything against him. So you've got a double thing going on where, one, they're under the spell, and two, they may be in denial about that parent. And you might say, well, why are they not in denial about me? Well, because their reality is being wired by the narcissist. Right? The narcissist distorts your perception of reality when you're under their spell as well. So their perception of reality has been massively distorted. Who you are, who the narcissist is, and what really happened. I mean, in terms of like, if they're not wanting to talk to you, you can't force a relationship. All you can do is your own healing and let them know that you love them and you would like to be in contact and have a relationship if they so choose. But, you know, we can't force someone to wake up. We can't force someone to see the truth. And again, with children, if you do end up being back in contact, which I have seen, by the way, with clients after years and years and years of adult children not wanting to speak to them, they have reconnected. But the best thing to focus on if that does happen is forming a new relationship with them, completely outside the narcissist, right? Because trying to get someone who's under the spell of a narcissist, especially a child who wants to defend the narcissist, to see it from your point of view is extremely challenging and can actually break down the relationship you might have with them even further, right? So if you do get the opportunity to be in contact, I would focus on forming a relationship with them and not try and get them to see if they don't see the truth about the narcissist, if they're not ready to see that yet, right? So it's a complete injustice. You're not on your own with it. Like, you know, narcissists discard their own children and they do whatever is most devastating to you, which could be take your children away, which could be turn them away from you. They'll do whatever will destroy you emotionally, physically, psychically, spiritually, and financially the most. That, unfortunately, is the truth of narcissistic abuse. So, I mean, there's so much that comes up in this. The loss, the grief, the shame, yeah? I was ashamed that my parents discarded me, and it's the other way round, right? But the shame of, like, you know, people assuming that you must have done something wrong, right? Your children aren't talking to you, when it actually, if it's in the hands of a narcissist, it's got nothing to do with you. So there's a lot that comes into being okay and in peace and accepting this situation, and it's a journey, right? And what I would say is my heart goes out to you. You're definitely not on your own. This is devastating. It happens, and when someone is under the level of psychic attack, right, that a narcissist puts on them, and the illusion that the narcissist puts on them, the distortion, right, how they see you and how they see what happened in reality is completely distorted. So the stories they have about you, if you're the one that the narcissist, you know, wanted to isolate them from, won't be correct. But until they're so you've got a couple of choices. One is, yes, let them know that you want a relationship with them. Two is, if that does happen, I wouldn't try and turn them against, well, it's not that you're trying to turn them against, but I wouldn't try and wake them up to the narcissist if they believe the narcissist is someone else, if they're still under the spell and the illusion, because you're just going to, they might get defensive about that. And then, you know, if your whole relationship becomes about the narcissist, right, and who they are, then the narcissist controlling that. Like, if you do get an opportunity, just focus on the quality of relationship between you and them. Have something completely outside the narcissist. Build that, right? Something that the narcissist can't control, can't damage, and can't distort. Trying to wake them up, get them to see the truth. That may happen naturally as they get older and as they evolve, right? But we can't make a flying monkey enabler or our own children see the truth, right? If they're not ready to. And if it's going to cause them to defend the narcissist, cause more animosity and doubt about you, can you see how that would go against you if you're trying to form a new relationship? What you want them to do is, if they do come back, is form a relationship with you completely outside of any tarnishment of the narcissist as much as you can. I'm not saying they might not want to talk about it. They might want to. They might want to talk about what happened. That's fine, right? You can give an honest, truthful account. But like, a lot of the time people are trying to get, you know, in these dynamics, which is very natural. We want to get people to see our point of view, and we want to bring them round to kind of what really happened. And if they're under the spell, that's impossible. If you watch the videos on the enablers and flying monkeys, I go into that more. So if you do get the opportunity, just focus on the quality of relationship between you and them. Try and keep it outside of, if they're still under the spell, them seeing the truth about the narcissist. For now, focus on the relationship you can have with them, which obviously, if it's a narcissist, the narcissist doesn't like, because you see, if they can't control you, right, they're going to control how people see you. This is what we know. This is the whole point of a smear campaign. And by the way, narcissists have no limits and no boundaries, and how far and destructive they'll go. How many narcissists have taken away children from the victim of the narcissistic abuse? Many, because they'll do whatever hits you hardest, financially, emotionally, spiritually, physically, right? It's disgusting, but it happens a lot. And so just know that, like, it is unjust, it is unfair, there's a lot to process in it. It's very, very traumatic, it's totally devastating. I'm so sorry. But at the same time, like, keep hold of the truth. You know who you are, you know what really happened, right? And you may not be able to get your children to see that unless they really do come into their own awakening and they really start seeing the narcissist for who they are. Or, you know, that's one thing which you can't force. Or they just decide they genuinely want a relationship with you, which I have seen happen. As I say, after many, many years of separation, it does happen. So it can happen for sure. But if that does happen again, if they still, you know, if they're still under the spell, don't focus on trying to make them see the truth about a narcissist. Just focus on the relationship that you can have with them. And if you can't, I'm so sorry that you can't, right? What these people do, I mean, they're not even really people. What happens is devastating. They can literally use their children as pawns, throw away their own children, which is what my parents did. You know, they don't understand the devastation. Well, they do understand the devastation. They don't feel the devastation because they're so emotionally void, right? And they're so detached. They don't feel this kind of devastation. But they use children as pawns. They don't live in integrity. They don't tell the truth. They distort reality, right? And they would have distorted, if they've turned the children against you, they distort the reality of how the children see you, which is just terrible. But it is kind of the same as with the flying monkeys. Like, I do have videos on the flying monkeys, a smear campaign, and the enablers. Now, this is absolutely devastating, but it's the same kind of tactic, right? If the narcissist can't control you, they will control people's perception of you, and also any opportunities you have, including relationships, opportunities of friendships they'll destroy, opportunities with children, opportunities with family. This is the game of the narcissist. This is why they're such dangerous entities on the planet. This is why it's so devastating, because they go further than you could possibly imagine. And of course, like, for most people, like, even if they've had their differences and separated, they'd want the children to have a good relationship with both parents. Not the case with a narcissist. This is all about power and control. And if they can control the way your children see you, and that you get to have no relationship with them because you haven't done things their way, or they've decided they've, you know, had enough of you, then this is just one of the worst injustices. But again, it's like, all you can do is focus on your own healing, You can let your children know that you'd love a relationship with them, but you can't necessarily get them to see the truth about the narcissist, not unless they're ready to wake up and they've already kind of come into that awareness themselves, and not if they're under the spell. So I hope that's helpful, guys. Lots of love. I'll speak to you soon.